Hi, my name is Tricia Alleyne. This is my sign name. I am from Buda, Texas. I was born in St. Michael here in Barbados. Okay, when I was 3 years of age, I moved to America, USA. My mother found out that I'm deaf, and she realized that in Barbados there was no educational institution for deaf children. So she decided she's gonna sell the house, quit her job, and move to the United States of America to get a better education. That's why we both moved to the USA, to get a better education for me. Okay, when I moved to the US, I continued in school from age 3 until 7, and then my mother found out that my green card had expired, and so she felt, no, we have to go back and stay and figure out about getting the green card. So I was placed in school about age 7. I couldn't remember the school, but now I remember, the Irving Wilson School. I learned the name of the school, so that's where I went to school, and I would sit alone, and the things that I was learning there I already learned from school in America. Those things I learned way back already in America, so it was easy to get through with the work. The teacher felt, okay, we have to put me in another classroom where there were teenage students. I can't remember what grade, but they were much older than I was. I was only 7, and they were like age 13 to 15, 17. And I sat there in class, and they were teaching math, algebra, and things that I had already learned from school in America. Basic math, multiplication, subtraction, I knew already. And so then the teacher decided to put me back in the class with students of my same age, and I was asked if I would mind teaching them the ABCs so they could memorize it. I had already learned the ABCs from school in America, and I was smooth with it. The education there in America is way above the one here in Barbados. In Barbados, I was learning so many things I had already learned in America. So I stayed here for a year, and then finally I went back to America because the green card was ready and I could truly become a US citizen, and I have been in the US living ever since. Okay, I remember clearly where I went to school, the Irving Wilson School. I went to school there and I remember everything. I remember the road leading up to the school. There was no fence. You could move around freely, openly. There was a lot of field, and on the main road there are structures and houses there already, but in the past there was nothing at all, just grass, and it was huge. And we have a big yard, and in the school it wasn't so elevated. There were just the various classrooms, and you could go in and out. But I see now that the school structure is more elevated. And I remember clearly the principal, that black woman with the glasses and the afro, Miss Franklin. I asked Dario her name, and he showed me, oh yes, and he showed me a picture. Yes, I remember her clearly. She was strict, a strict principal. I remember the afro and the glasses. She was a very stern person. And I remember some students who I was friends with, but I don't know what happened to them. I remember their names: Tony, Richard, Anita. Those 3 I remember, but what happened to them, I don't know. So I've already made a comparison between the American education system and the Barbados education system, and the Barbados education system for deaf students is way behind. Wow, it touches my heart. In America, they're already advanced. They have a house, car, they've graduated college, graduated high school, they've got college degrees, just like hearing students. And so I noticed that in Barbados, the education system truly needs improving in terms of English, mathematics, and the ability to read. The students should be bilingual, meaning the ability to understand English and use the local sign language. Reading is vital. When I went to school in Barbados, in terms of the English and the math and the signing, I was able to get through quickly because of having been to school in America. They have higher expectations for the deaf. They don't say the deaf can't do this, they uplift them. They're just like hearing students. I've met so many deaf people in America who are intelligent, and it means that deaf people in Barbados can be intelligent as well. They can advance in life, they can get a house. Really, they can do it. And I've learned from you how things have been here in Barbados, and it really touches me. I remember that when I was going to my old school, I was thinking, I'll miss Irving Wilson's school. And I left school and I was immersed in my educational studies. When I went back to America, I went to Gallaudet. I left Gallaudet, and I was thinking, I always promised myself I'd go back to Barbados to help with that kind of education, give lectures, travel, explain things about financial literacy, profit score. Maybe deaf persons in Barbados have never heard of financial literacy. What's that? Profit score, what does that mean? And other things they need to know about life, everyday things that even hearing people know about, because they're all the same. They should have job opportunities. In America, the deaf have graduated high school, some of them have not been to college but yet find a job easily. They should be able to do that in Barbados. They should not be required to have CSCs or have a CV for that. Then it causes them to suffer more and depend on government assistance. It shouldn't be that way. Compared to America, the deaf there have already got work despite not having a college degree. If they've got a resume or a CV and you see, oh, they've got experience, that's important, and then they can move on up, they can advance. Really, the Barbados education system has failed deaf students, and it really touches me. I was born here, I lived here. If my mom decided to stay here, I wouldn't want to be here. I'd want to be there in America. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to rise to the same level of intelligence as others. When I moved to America, I skipped second grade. It means I was already in an honor class because I was intelligent, because my mom made sure I was well educated. Parents need to be involved in the lives of their deaf children. If they're hearing parents who want to be involved in their deaf children's lives and provide that exposure, they'll have a good life. They'll progress. They'll be thankful to their parents. But if hearing parents are not involved and are not encouraging, they're not going to progress. Life will be neither here or there for them. So the attitude of the parents, the hearing parents, their attitude must not be one where they'll look down on the deaf and pity them and think they can't do things. My mom did not allow that. She believed that I can, and so she made sacrifices and she moved to America to get me a better education. The Barbados education system needs major improvement. I have some suggestions, some tips for the principal and the teachers. They should be required to use sign language. They should. It's vital for communication with the deaf and exposure as they learn the language. Talking to them does not help them. It's no benefit. If they're deaf and cannot talk, they need sign language. And the teachers should be qualified. They should have a college degree. They should know about deaf education. It means that the principal, as well as their teachers, should learn from America how things are done there, their teaching style, how the principal and others are able to stay for a long time in institutions for the deaf. It means that I can probably call on persons like the principal or teachers who are qualified to teach the deaf to come to Barbados and teach here so that they can learn from them. Their attitude needs to change. They should not look down on or be dismissive of the deaf and tell them they can't. They need to change their attitude. They should be highly qualified and love and support and be involved in the lives of the deaf, be involved in the deaf community. They need to have a deaf heart. They should be truly immersed in the deaf community. Uplift them, believe in the students. The students need it. They need role models. They need teachers to provide exposure, and maybe it is best if here in Barbados they can hire deaf teachers. That would be wonderful, perfect. It means that the students will be in awe. Deaf teachers, I can be just like them. It encourages them and they will be eager to become better teachers, doctors, dentists, so many things they can be. They need more deaf teachers, hearing as well, but the hearing teachers must be involved and immersed and not belittle their education. Yes, I think that's a good idea. For those who are from Barbados, who moved to America, can be welcome to Barbados, to the deaf community, yes. Because the deaf here need to see, oh, you moved and you became a teacher, you became a scientist, and various things, and then they feel like, I can do it, so it inspires them. Yes, they can. And so it means that some who have settled overseas, like in America, or those who have graduated already and they can move back to Barbados, that would be great. It means they can give back to the Barbados community and uplift them. And then those others can move overseas and progress in life. I want you to remember, never forget where you are from. Do not forget where you are from. Remember to think of Barbados and the need that it has. You can find time to come. Maybe every year in the summer you can come. There can be lectures, exposure for them, explain things, talk about history, and they have a lot to learn. And I think that's a great idea. If you can come and uplift them, have discussions on speeches or collaborations and so on, with the aim of uplifting, set up a summer camp or different things along the line of science or whatever interests and skills the deaf have. And I think that would be a great idea. And if you can do that, set up something for the deaf community, I would come. I would willingly do it for the deaf, the young black deaf kids here. I would love that. Yes. And when you give the name of the person who's from America, who would come over to give the speech, explain things, have a discussion about here, and someone from here can go over there and there will be an exchange of information. So you should set up a Facebook group. That's important. So that person from America could join, Canada, person from America, England, they can join and learn from here. They can learn about Barbados. That would be great. They can come over. And also persons from here in Barbados, if they're curious about overseas, they can go over. And then that way, they can come back and share what they have learned about overseas. So you should set up a group. And people will join because they want to learn and have an exchange, an educational exchange. And maybe anyone who's interested in going to Barbados, then they have the connections already. So networking is important. The word for it, the word that I feel is I am home. This is where my heart is. This is my home. The last time I was 3 years of age, and then 7 years of age, and then 12 years of age. Wow, and then I came and I felt like this is my home. The food is delicious, the culture. The culture is beautiful, the people are friendly, they're such beautiful people. And now it makes me feel like I'd love to come back again. Because you're here and then I can connect with the deaf. And that's perfect. I could come and network more. I could learn more about the history and more about Barbados. I can learn so much. The last time I was here was age 12, and so I don't know much about Barbados and the history and what's going on, but you have taught me so much about Barbados, and this is my home, and I feel great, and I would love to come again. If I have the opportunity to give a lecture, sure, I'd come and give a lecture. I would love it. The very last thing that I want to suggest is enjoy, experience. Get out of here and explore life. Experience different countries, meeting deaf people. Don't stay in your comfort zone. If you want to learn more, just do it. and get out of here so that you can explore life. And don't give up. There's no need to feel that this is all there is to life. No. If you have a passion, a goal, dream big. If you have a passion, just go for it. Don't give up.